Hi everyone, Tom Matelski here. As we roll into Lobstercon and Euros, I wanted to share the three decks I was considering, or I considered bringing to Lobstercon. Unfortunately, I cannot attend. Really bummed out about it, especially after missing out last year where I had food poisoning, which led to a hospital visit the morning of. I still got to play a couple rounds, but I felt deathly ill, and then I drove home by myself for the 4.5, 5 hours, just because how sick I was feeling. But yeah, I just wanted to share three decks specifically in case you still are undecided what you're going to bring. I know that feeling, right? Tournaments coming up, coming down to the wire for deck list submissions. Don't know what you really want to bring. Figured, all right, I'll show the three that I was going to bring in case you still are undecided and you know, wanted some just insight of the metagame and what decks might be able to attack it on a certain angle. So first deck, 75% sure I was going to be bringing Devourer combo. This is the list I've been working on, and it feels very good against most top decks. I think its worst matchup is Stifle Knot, but you have some post board. Post board you can interact a little more. The only problem is like you're fast, but they can be a little bit faster with counter spells. So yeah, that's like the biggest issue. But I will say that Devour has a lot of sideboard cards. Like once they start bringing in interaction after game one, you have plenty of cards to deal with deal with the card specifically that stop you from comboing off. And the speed of this deck is great, which also makes it where they got to have the answer early, or you can just also steal those wins. Yeah, and then this deck being able to run Sabo's Web main is fantastic. It goes with your Tinker Plan. It kind of halters these Oath decks that are playing so many lands like Rishadan Port, Treetop Village, Wasteland, etc. One thing I was considering was moving Factor Fiction to the sideboard and going up on 4 Impulse. I do think I would make that change, and I think that I would cut the Tormod's Crypt and probably one Pyroclasm to get Factor Fiction in the sideboard. Because Factor Fiction is good in the matchups you want to bring it in. It's not always great game one. But here's the list. This is probably what I would suggest bringing if you want to have game against almost everything. And don't be surprised if Devour makes top 8 and wins the tournament. Um, Next, man, I love this deck. Tireless Tribe combo. Another deck I've been working on a lot. I feel like it was a few months back I noticed, kind of just observing the meta, that this like Tireless Tribe can fit in. And then I asked Fran for his suggestions because Tireless Tribe is weak to Mog Fanatic. It's a huge liability. I consider things like Stifle, but you don't really want to like lose out on cards in hand. So that could be an issue. Fran suggested then, because of that, you can have Psychotog as like a backup plan, and it's been fantastic. I don't think you could run more than 2 main, so I might put like a third in the sideboard, kind of like how Gat does, where it's there for the matchups you need it. You need it specifically. Um, and then the other thing is like if you look at this deck too, it just completely takes advantage of Chalice of the Void not existing in pre-modern. So a bunch of cantrips and your combo pieces, and I'll say you can even put Circular Logic down here. Um, and yeah, and Gush is my favorite spell of all time. So whenever I get to play Gush, I will try to do that. Another interesting thing with this deck is you can pivot to a more grindy matchup post board, where if you want to bring out some of your combo pieces, you can bring in Call of the Herd. And Call of the Herd is really gaining a ton of traction right now. It's good in so many matchups, especially combo decks where you can get Call of the Herd going and put pressure on them early. And one thing I also considered, just like Devour, making those last minute changes, I probably would put the like all Meddling Mage into the sideboard and bring in the second deep analysis and the second fling to the main. And fling is also good tech versus Mog Fanatic, so you can kind of get around it that way. But yeah, this is a great one. I said Devour is probably 75% locked for me, but this deck was really close. Um, I just was really concerned with early Mog Fanatics because it's not solved having Psychotog and Fling, but um, yeah, just kind of an early burn or Goblins matchup can cause you some issues. But fun deck. It's very strong. It can win on turn two. And yeah, this is the list. And then my third deck. Hear me out. I hope everyone's taking it seriously, but I probably wasn't going to bring it, but I was probably going to bring it day two. So if any of you were also playing day two, and you wanted to play a more fun deck, which has game, or you want to just try this for the main event, it's mono black control. So it's it's the black deck. The black deck's Gaia's Cradle here with Cabal Coffers. Um, and Odyssey block is like it's my favorite block of all time. It's just like the nostalgia of being a kid with Odyssey, Torment, Judgment, like Cabal Coffers. I thought Cabal Coffers was like the greatest card of all time. And then we got sweet removal like Innocent Blood, Mutilate, hard casting a Hypnox, which I've done multiple times and it's outstanding. And then just grinding your opponent out with removal and card advantage. And card advantage, I mean things like Nether Spirit and your arena. And then winning with Corrupt. Unfortunately, we got to play cards like Nev's Disc because Black is kind of like hindered with things they can interact with in this time period. But Michael Arnold actually suggested too adding some Contagion, and they've been great, especially against decks like Goblins where they can get ahead early, and you might be kind of behind on board and what you might have been going on. So Contagion helps. Um, and then yeah, again, I don't know if I'd say it's not super strong, like you're gonna kind of just like it's got a lot of weaknesses, but I think it's a ton of fun and yeah, when you're doing your thing, you are doing your thing, uh, and it's hard for some decks certainly to come back from. So next thing I wanted to do as I wrap up is kind of cards to watch. I wanted to. It's like the nostalgia also of watching Pro Tours with BDM or Rich Hagan, kind of going over cards to watch or cards of the tournament. So I was gonna give you three cards specifically that I think are gonna be like cards to watch. Um, and first one I'll start since I'm on here is Sabo's Web. The elephant in the room is Red Green Oath, right? Definitely the strongest deck in power level, and Sabo's Web shuts it down pretty significantly. And the fact that it can replace itself, and it's an artifact, almost all decks can run this. So don't be surprised. Tons of top decks are going to be packing this either main or most of them in the sideboard. Second card, this one is really on the rise now, and rightfully so. And it's about time. Call the Herd. So again, just a great, powerful card which puts pressure early, and a 3/3 in Premodern is a big deal, which is hilarious. So Call the Herd is my second card, and then my third card is one that gained traction last year because of Parfait, and I think we're back there again with Oath and Replenish being very popular. Is a Null. I think a Null main board is not crazy. Um, and I don't want it to sound like it's like trite, but like it's necessary to run a Null in blue decks where like the top decks like are mainly focused on artifacts and enchantments. So I know last year I think we were tinkering with a Null main in Landstill and Stifle Knot. I think it's time again where you want to run at least one or two main, um, and they're only kind of dead in certain matchups, but it might be worth doing so. So Annul's another one where it's like we're rolling around again to these big tournaments like Lobstercon and Euros, and I think Annul's definitely has an argument to be back in the main. So yeah, quick recap. The decks I would bring would be Devour Combo, Tireless Tribe, and if you want to have a little bit just more fun and not be as competitive, Mono Black Control, and cards to watch would be Stabo's Web, Call of the Herd, and Annul. But that's it for me. I wish everyone luck. I hope you have a ton of fun. I should be able to tune in Friday afternoon after I'm done working, and um, Saturday hopefully be able to catch Euros. But all right, good luck everybody. Have a good day.